give spend from good things which you have earned, and from that which we have produced for you from the earth, and do not aim at bad things from it.
Spending.
Whilst not you take it, except that
Whilst you are not takers of it.
taken of it, except that you overlook in it.
Good.
Know that Allah is most sufficient and most praiseworthy.
Good. Hard, yeah. G. Come on, sisters. Good. Translate. Good. G. Brothers.
يؤتي فعل الحكمة مفعول به من موصول يشاء فعل فاعل become صلة of من and موصول صلة together become second مفعول به فعل فاعل مفعول به together with جملة فعلية خبرية واو استئناف من شرطية يؤتى فعل فاعل and الحكمة is مفعول به that together become a shart for جزائر again قد is تعقيب أوتي is فعل فاعل خيرا موصوف and كثيرا صفة موصول صفة become مفعول به أوتي فعل فاعل مفعول به become تعقيب together with the word تعقيب they become واو شرطية واو is استئناف ما يذكر is فعل إلا is حرف أولو is مضاف الباب is مضاف إليه and that all becomes the file of ما يذكر فعل file together becomes جملة فعلية خبرية.
Good. Okay, so translate.
He grants wisdom to whom he will, and whoever is granted the wisdom, then certainly he is granted good abundantly. No one remembers except those of understanding.
Okay, good.
Sorry, the ulul al-baba, what does that become?
What's the file of...
That's file of yadhakaru.
Okay, so أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت سبع سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم. So previously we talked about the awliya of Allah. Yeah. And if you remember, before we mentioned about fighting in the way of Allah, and we mentioned a little bit about spending before the Day of Judgment comes. So now Allah mentions, continuing on from there, Allah mentions the importance of spending now. So spending is a fundamental part of Islam. The only way that an Islamic society can be established is if the people, the public, they support financially, physically and financially the society. So this is why Allah says, He mentions virtues, because through virtues people get motivated. So when you tell people the virtues of what the rewards they're going to get, they get motivated. And a society that doesn't have virtues, then the people lose motivation. They don't do things for higher cause. They do things for themselves. So مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ, the example of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah. In the way of Allah, in fighting for the soldiers, for the poor, for students, for the mosques, in anything that's beneficial for the society. Yes, called Sabilillah. It's like habbatin, it's like a seed. So when you spend, it's like putting a seed into the ground. Ambatat sab'a sanabil, that grows from that 7 sanabil. So sanabil sumbula is an ear. So from that one seed grows 7 ears of wheat. Fi kulli sumbulatin mi'atu habban. Each of those ears are 100 grains of wheat. Yeah, so that's 100 in each one. There's 7 of them, so that's 700. So 1 penny that you give, you get 700 back in return. You give 1,000, you get 700,000 in return. You give 1,000,000, you get 700 million. You give 1,000,000,000, you get 7 billion in return. Yeah. Wallahu yudha'ifu liman yasha. It doesn't stop there. This 700 is just for multitude. Yeah. And Allah is not limited by number. Allah yudha'ifu liman yasha. Allah, for whoever He wants, He can increase. Allah can multiply your rewards. If your sincerity is high, Allah multiplies rewards. If you're going through difficulties and you spend, Allah multiplies your rewards. Wallahu wasi'un alim. And Allah is wasi'un alim. This came many times before. So Allah is all encompassing and is all knowledgeable. In other words, He knows everyone's situation. Someone might think that I only make this much money and I can only afford to pay £1 in charity. Allah knows. And the value of that, your £1 is going to be much more than that £1 of a rich person who doesn't have the same problem. Okay, so who are these people? We want to know more about these people who get this great reward. الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Those who spend their wealth in the path of Allah. Now these are the adab now. So when you're spending in the way of Allah, sometimes what happens is you forget mannerism. So the spending becomes the purpose, and you forget that there's ethics and morals in the way you spend as well. Some people, they're very rich and they throw money at the poor. And they say, well, I'm spending. And they don't do it in the right way. They do it rudely, harshly. So Allah lays down rules. Allah says, those who spend in the way of Allah, their wealth in the way of Allah, ثُمَّ لَا يُتْبِعُونَ مَا أَنْفَقُوا مَنًّا وَلَا أَذًا. Then they don't follow up their spending with man and adhan. So man can be multiple scenarios for this, but one of them is like this. A man, he gives a poor person, or he borrows someone some money, gives someone some money, then later on he reminds him all the time. Remember I gave you that money? He's always reminding his favor. He's always showing, remember I did this for you. Remember I gave you £10. Remember I bought some chips for you in the shop. Remember I gave you a bottle of water. So you always remind. You should never do that. If you're going to give in the path of Allah, you should never ever remind people of what you've done for them. Yeah. So if it was for Allah's sake, take it and throw it in the sea, as they say. Ignore it, forget about it. So mannan, ma anfaqu mannan, or like another scenario for this could be, they spend in the way of Allah But what they do is, the only reason they spend in the way of Allah, so that they can show people that they've been giving them. Yeah. So just like, you think to yourself, if I spend on a sufa now, 10 years down the line, when my kids want to join a sufa, I can remind them. Yeah. And I paid you guys, help you guys out. So no, you don't do that. Wala adhan. Wala adhan, no harm. Yeah. Some people like to spend this. You're poor, you tramp. I have to spend on you. Look at you, take this, go on. Don't spend it all at once. Yeah. So this is not good as well. Some people, it hurts them when you say these things to them. Allah says, "La adhan." When you spend in the way of Allah, do not harm people with your wealth. Yeah, don't say these kind of things. So la adhan. So what reward do these people get? Lahum ajruhum inda rabbihim. These people, their reward is with Allah. Just like a principal says to the school, all your reward you get it today, and you, Zaid, your special reward is waiting with the principal. The principal is going to give you in hand. He's going to come down your house and he's going to give it to you in hand. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. No fear upon them, nor will they grieve. Yeah, this is the reward that they're going to have. And this word came many times. Okay, now, sometimes what happens is, some people spend, but they got a bad habit of harming people, hurting people. Allah says, قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوفٌ. Saying good words, وَمَغْفِرَةٌ, and forgiving people, is better, خَيْرٌ مِنْ صَدَقَةٍ يَتْبَعُ هَذَا. Any sort of charity that's followed up by harm. Yeah, so some people, they're giving charity, but they've got this very bad habit of, in public, reminding them, I remember you borrowed off me some money. Another person feels really embarrassed. Yeah, Allah says, don't do that. You'd rather just say some good words to him than borrow him any money at all. Don't borrow him money then, if you got that bad habit. Wallahu ghaniyun. Remember, where does your money come from? Allah. Does Allah need anything from you? No, He doesn't. He's ghani. Allah is only using this poor person for you to get great reward. And He's halim, He's tolerant. If He wanted, He could have made you poor overnight. Got rid of frozen your whole account. The government takes away all your assets. What are you going to do then? Wallahu ghaniyun halim. Okay. So, as we're talking about spending and the harms of spending, Allah says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu. O those who believe. La tubtilu sadaqatikum bil manni wal adha. Do not destroy your sadaqah, your charity, with man and adha. Yeah, so we talked about man, that reminding your favor, and adha and harm. Through these two things, people can destroy all of their charity. Allah says, don't do it. Kalladhi, what's the example of this person? So we like to learn things through visual examples. Allah says, example of this person is like Safwan, a big massive rock. Alayhi turab, and after many months, years, lots of dust has gathered on top of it, like moss and sand and dirt and grime has gathered on top of it. فَأَصَابُهُ وَابِلٌ. One night, a gush of rain falls down on it. Yeah, wabil means a rain that's, thick, heavy drops. فَتَرَكَهُ صَلْدًا. And the rain, when the rain finishes, it leaves the rock spotless, clean. Salda. Clear of everything. So I said, this is the example of these people. They spend so much in the way of Allah. Then they spoil it, all of it, they spoil it with man and adha. And then eventually they're like this rock that has nothing on top of it. No reward at all. لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا. They have no ability to get back anything they've earned. So they spent hundreds or maybe even thousands in the path of Allah. But because of that reminding of favor and harming the poor and harming the people, they wasted it all. Yeah, so Allah said, look what you done. May Allah save us. Wallahu la yahdi al-qawm al-kafirin. Allah does not guide the disbelieving nation or the ungrateful nation. So kafir can mean disbelieving and ungrateful as well. Yeah, so this is why believers, they don't do this. Whereas non-believers, like these big companies, they'll give in charity, but they want their sponsor there. They want their name mentioned to them. They're only doing it so that the government can acknowledge them, that they help. Yeah, that's the only reason they're doing it. No other reason. But Muslims do it for the sake of Allah. They know that they're getting rewarded in the hereafter. And even if they put their logo on something, on a charity, is fine. Because they're doing it for the sake of Allah as well. Okay. Then, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُم. So now the flip side now. Those who spend in the way of Allah, but they do it the right way. They tick off all the boxes. What are they like? So مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُم. Those who spend their wealth. Spend their wealth, whether it's in the path of Allah, whether it's on their family, whether it's anywhere. ابتغاء مرضات الله. Seeking the pleasures, not just one pleasure, multiple pleasures of Allah. Yeah, pleasures of Allah lie in many places. So, or due to the pleasure of Allah. وَتَثْبِيتًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ, and firmness inside themselves. Yeah, or due to firmness inside themselves. So in other words, they spend this wealth because they want to make their iman strong inside their hearts. This comes like they really want to give it. Their example is like jannatin, like a garden that's covered with trees. Birabwatin, that's on a hill, like a hill. So just like sometimes you look in Switzerland, or you look in these places where there's mountains or hills, and you see all this greenery, these forests growing on a hill. Asabaha wabilun, this garden has fallen upon it heavy rain. So if heavy rain falls on such a garden, then it's going to make the foliage grow. فَآتَتْ أُكُلَهَا ضِعْفَيْنِ, so because there's so much rain that's fallen on it, beneficial rain, the fruit that it gives is double fruit. So first of all, who wants a garden in Switzerland? Yeah, everyone does. Who wants a garden in such a place where you have heavy rain that falls on it regularly? We all do. Who wants a garden that heavy rain falls on it and it gives double produce? We all want it. فَإِنْ لَمْ يُصِبْهَا وَابِلٌ, and this garden is so good that even if all these acres of land is not irrigated with heavy rain, فَطَلْ, because it's high up, then dew falls on it. Tal. Yeah, so you get at night time, in the morning you wake up and there's dew all over it, and that dew, it replenishes the moisture in the plants. So who doesn't want this? So this is an example of the one who spends with in other words, some people they spend and that money goes to sadaqah jariyah. So you spend on a madrasa, you spend on a masjid, you spend on a person, you help them get a job, you help a little child get education. What happens? That child grows up, that person grows up, the madrasa as well. Anyone that comes out of that, you get sadaqah jariyah for everything, like that tree, like the garden. And even if you don't, you still get reward. Yeah. Even if you bought someone, let's say something to eat, they ate it, it's finished, that's it. Still get reward. Wallahu bima ta'maluna basir, and Allah is all seeing of what you people do. Yeah, Allah knows exactly, because spending requires seeing. So Allah is watching all our money, where it's going. Just like the government says to your taxman. Yeah, they're watching our bank accounts, they're watching where your money goes. Yeah, they're always checking up. So Allah is always watching. Okay. Then Allah Ta'ala, He mentions a flip side now, another side again. So this is something that can happen, which you don't want. Allah says, أَيَوَدُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَن تَكُونَ لَهُ جَنَّةٌ, does any one of you really want a garden? Yes, we do. مِن نَخِيلٍ وَأَعْنَابٍ, that is filled with nakhil, date palms, and grapevines. So a garden that's filled with date palms, a garden that's filled with grapevines is a very good garden. You only usually get this in the Mediterranean area. Yeah, so like imagine Spain, imagine Italy, imagine North Africa, imagine Palestine, these areas. Yeah, very beautiful scenery, very beautiful land, nice sunshine. Who wants that? We all do. Tajri min taht al-anhar, and it's not just dry land, arid land. There's rivers flowing underneath it, flowing rivers. So it's regularly, you don't have to irrigate it, it's just naturally irrigated. Lahu fiha min kulli thamarat, and in these gardens you have all sorts of fruit, not just grapes and dates. You have pomegranates and you have apples and you have everything. Who wants that? We all do. Then what happens is this. Asabahul kibar. The guy who owns the land, he becomes extremely old. So when you're young, you can enjoy it. Once you become very old, then you can't take care of it. Walahu dhurriyatun du'afa, and this old man has got very young kids. He's still got very young kids. So his kids are very young, he's extremely old. Asabaha i'sar, and then all of a sudden one night what happens? A heavy storm comes which has tornado winds. And in these tornado winds, there's fire inside of it. Yeah, like you see on TV, the winds, cyclones that come, and there's fire inside of it, and it's gone through your whole so many acres of land, destroyed everything. Everything. You wake up in the morning, everything's burnt. Anyone want that? And that you don't want. This is an example of what can happen to your sadaqah if you give it now and then years later you ruin all your reward. You wasted all your reward. Yeah, so you spent 20 years ago, maybe you gave some charity, and now you're starting to remind everyone of what you've done. So this lack of sincerity, and this can also harm your charity. So this is why your actions should always forget your charity. Give your charity and forget about it. Otherwise, it'll end up like this. كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ. And like that, Allah clearly explains for you the signs or the ayats, the verses. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَفَكَّرُونَ, so that you think. There's a whole reason for this, because money is very, very dear to people's hearts. Whether you're giving it or whether you're receiving it, there should be etiquette with it as well. So this is why Allah lays down all these rules. Okay, next, another etiquette for spending. Sometimes people spend, but they don't spend the right wealth. So Allah says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu anfiqu min tayyibati ma kasabtum. Spend from the good things, the wholesome things, yeah, the pure, the clean things, or what you've earned. What does this mean? So let's say, for example, you've gone and you brought some apples, you bought some fruit, or you bought some clothes or anything, and you want to give in charity. Give the things that you would use yourself, give that in charity. وَمِمَّا أَخْرَجْنَا لَكُم مِّنَ الْأَرْضِ, and spend from that which we've given you from the earth. What does Allah give us from the earth? Need everything we can see. Yeah, fruit, vegetation. وَلَا تَيَمَّمُوا الْخَبِيثِ. When charity time comes, don't start looking through all your stuff to find the most khabith thing. Yeah, so khabith refers to the opposite of tayyib, the filthiest, yeah, the worst of the worst. So you go to your cellar, you look for something rubbish, it's got rust on there. Oh, you know what, I'll give this in charity. Oh, you know what, these underwear that I've been wearing for so long, yeah, they're okay, I'll give them in charity. Yeah, or you know, in the fridge, oh, this is rotting, isn't it? No, I'll give it next door. They'll eat it. Yeah, don't, that's khabith, that is. Allah said, don't deliberately go and look for khabith things. Yes, if you don't have anything else, let's say you got a wardrobe full of clothes, and you're changing your whole wardrobe, then give it to charity, it's fine. But if you've got good and you've got bad, give the good in charity. Yeah, so give the good. La tayammamu, do not intend. Tayammama, one meaning tayammum is to do that dry ablution. And that word comes from intending. So la tayammamu al-khabith, do not deliberately go looking for the khabith. Yeah, to give in charity. Just some people, like when they're eating food, yeah, and they won't give it to their friend unless there's a little bit left over. Yeah, oh, you know what? Actually, I got some chips left over. You want it? Yeah. So you shouldn't do that. If you want to invite them from the beginning. Tunfiquna, you spend. Walastum bi akhidhi. So what's the rule of khabith? The rule for khabith is this: that something which you would not take yourself unless you closed your eyes. So you know, sometimes someone comes to your house and they brought you something. Yeah, so rubbish thing they brought you, but you feel embarrassed to say to them, I don't want it. So you just say, thank you so much, the thought that counts, mashallah, thank you very much. And you take it. Yeah, so you close your eyes, you overlook it. Allah says, Tunfiquna, you're willing to spend it on the poor, but yourselves, you won't take it except if you overlook it. Why are you doing that for? In other words, the thing that you give in charity should be something you're happy to take yourself. وَعَلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ, and remember, you think you're rich, Allah is richer than you. وَعَلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِي, and you think you're famous, you're popular, you get lots of likes. Allah is Hamid. Allah has more likes than you. Allah is more praiseworthy than you. Hamid. Yeah. So you're going to die one day, no one's going to remember you. Allah is always remembered. So always remember, do everything for the sake of Allah. And never think to yourself that, look, I've got this really good thing, I'll keep it for myself. Yeah. And the rubbish one, I'll give it to charity. No, if you're going to give something to charity, remember they are human beings as well. So a lot of people, when they look at the poor, they don't look at them as humans. They look at them as something which is like just out there. So they're humans as well. They have parents, they have children, they have brothers and sisters, they have families, they have feelings. Yeah, and when you give these things to them, they're forced to take it. And if you say beggars are what? Cannot be choosers. That doesn't work. Yeah, you can't do that. So that's only if there's nothing else to give. Yeah, but you should be giving them the good thing. Okay, now, why do we do this for? Why do we give the filthy? Why do we give the khabith to people for? Because shaitan. Shaitan, when it comes to charity, shaitan says to us, Ya'idukum al-faqra. He promises you're going to go poor, you know. You know, if you give these fruits to the poor, these really good ones, you know what, you're going to become poor, you're going to have nothing to eat. So in your back of your mind, he's whispering that you're going to become poor if you give too much in charity. Don't give it. But at the same time, يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَةِ, he commands you to do immodest things. So you're not willing to spend £10 on charity, but you're willing to spend £10 in the circus, yeah, or in the fun fair, or you're willing to spend £10 on a film, or you're willing to spend £10 on just some little joke. So it doesn't make sense. So he tells you not to give in charity because you can go poor. But when it comes to immodesty, something immoral, he says, no, give, it's good, it's good. Yeah, the opposite. Wallahu ya'idukum. And what does Allah promise? The opposite. Ya'idukum maghfir. Allah promises you forgiveness. Min wa fadlan, and lots extra more virtue. Wallahu wa. And who is better? Allah or shaitan? Who is more truthful? Allah or shaitan? Who can give? Allah or shaitan? Allah. Allahu wasi', all encompassing, alim. Now, people who give in charity have a very good quality by them, and that is they have wisdom, long-sightedness. They know how things work in society. Allah says, "Yu'til hikmata man yasha." Allah gives wisdom to whoever He wants. Not everyone gets this. So someone who knows that, look, you know what, me giving to the poor, the good quality, is better than me giving the rubbish quality. Yu'til hikmata man yasha, wa man yu'tal hikmata. Whoever is given wisdom, faqad utiya khairan kathiran. This person has been given abundant good. Yeah, because hikmah, not everyone can earn hikmah. Hikmah comes from Allah. وَمَا يَذَّكَّرُ إِلَّا أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. And no one is really going to reflect on this except for people with intellect. So people who have intellect will realize, you know what Allah is saying here. If you go to do research on this, and if you study this, and if you survey giving charity, you'll find that what Allah is saying here makes sense. Okay, we'll stop there.